Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing the compatibility chart between Prince Harry and his dad, Prince Charles. Before I get started, I want to say if you're interested in hearing about more compatibility charts, hit the subscribe button to keep informed about my next upcoming compatibility charts. Now, in a Synastry chart, which is also a compatibility chart, the North Node has to do with what the theme of the relationship will be between two people. Whatever planets conjunct your North Node or asteroids, the energies will show up. It all depends on the type of relationship you have. For instance, if you're married, if you're really good friends and spend a lot of time together, if the relationship is intimate. Now, it all depends on how long you are together or how long the relationship has progressed. But sometimes it can happen a lot sooner. I've seen married couples where the North Node conjunction and the energies of the theme of the relationship happen rather quickly. But sometimes it can take a lot longer. So it really all depends on the rest of the chart and the dynamics between the two of you. But it does show up. Now, Harry's Iphigenia and Night asteroid conjuncts his dad's North Node 0 degrees. That is the tightest orb that you can possibly get. In Greek mythology, Iphigenia is a story of sacrifice, betrayal, and victimization. Iphigenia was sacrificed by her father, Agamemnon, after he offended the goddess Artemis by killing one of her sacred stags on his way to the Trojan War. The energies of this boil down to feeling victimized, not feeling honored or important in the family, the feeling that his needs are not being considered, or what did I do to deserve this? He can feel that he doesn't belong in the family and that there's a disconnect and that the image of the family is more important. Now, Night has to do with loyalty. So in this case, Night and Iphigenia conjuncting the North Node, the theme of the relationship, there is a betrayal of loyalty involved here. Now, Harry's Pholus and Ascaphalus conjuncts his dad's moon, 0 degrees and 3 degrees. The moon is a very important luminary in a Synastry chart. So whatever touches your moon from the other person, you will receive those energies, and it better be good. Now, in this case, Pholus has to do with an explosion, and Ascaphalus has to do with tale-bearing, revealing of secrets, and inconvenient truths. So these two asteroids are in Harry's third house, and that house rules books and writing. Harry's Storm and Sphinx conjuncts Prince Charles's, his dad's, midheaven, 2 degrees. Whatever touches your midheaven from the other person, you will receive those energies, and the whole world will see what is going on. If you're not famous, the general public. So in this case, Harry's Storm, that's self-explanatory, and it's holding hands with Sphinx, and Sphinx has to do with hidden secrets and agendas. So conjuncting his dad's midheaven, there was a huge storm over this book happening and being written and published. Now, Harry's Sun conjuncts his dad's Taureau and the PNA, personal name asteroid, Camilla, 1 degree. That's really tight. The Sun, another very important luminary in a Synastry chart. Taureau has to do with bossy or being a bully, those energies. And since it's holding hands with Camilla, his dad was the chart is indicating forceful and bossy about bringing Camilla into the family and marrying her. And conjuncting Harry's Sun, I don't think Harry was very happy about this. And since Taureau and Camilla are in the third house, that rules communications. Now, Harry's Mercury, which also rules communication, and his point of fortune, which is, it looks like a circle with a cross in the middle, and it's like a mini Jupiter, so it magnifies whatever it touches. The point of fortune and Mercury is conjuncting his dad's Apophis and Grieve, 0 degrees and 2 degrees. This energy has the effect of a breakdown in communication. J-Lo and Ben had this in their chart as well, and they didn't talk for 20 years. So right here, the same situation, except Harry's point of fortune, which is like a mini Jupiter, it magnified this whole situation. And it's also conjuncting his dad's Grieve, 2 degrees. So there is a grief and sadness over this lack of communication between the two of them. Now, how long will it take before they start talking to each other again? I don't know. It really depends on the rest of the chart, and I would probably have to maybe do their composite, but I'm going to be moving forward. Harry's Psyche conjuncts his dad's descendant, 0 degrees. The descendant, a very important angle in a compatibility chart. So you will receive those energies by whatever asteroid or planet the other person conjuncts your important angles. And in this case, Harry's Psyche, that has to do with love. So there is love there. Prince Charles angers, Deianira, and Icarus conjunct Harry's ascendant, 1 degree, and Harry's Niobe. This translates into, there's an anger over victimhood, because Deianira has to do with victimhood, and Icarus has to do with rash and impulsive behavior. So he brings these energies to Harry, and since it's also conjuncting Harry's Niobe, that has to do with the loss of family members and the disconnect that happened. And Harry feels like a victim in this situation, which ties into Iphigenia conjuncting the North Node. And there's also anger, and Harry was rash and impulsive, and there could have been rash and impulsive behavior on both sides, but all of a sudden Harry decided to move to California. Now, this is very interesting as well. Harry's Neptune and Jupiter conjunct his dad's Lucifer, Hemingway, and Hybris. Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, conjuncting these asteroids, this brings an expansion of the energy, and it's conjuncting his dad's Lucifer, so there's pride and arrogance involved in this compatibility between the two of them over the book writing, because Hemingway, that asteroid, has to do with writing books again. Like I said before, in the 3rd house, where there was the Ascapulus asteroid. And Hybris has to do with also with pride and arrogance, but there's a downfall associated with this. There's a negative side to it that can backfire in a way. Neptune conjuncting those asteroids as well means that there's deception or an illusion involving all of this. It's kind of like hidden in a way. Now, his dad's, in Prince Charles' natal chart, his Jupiter conjuncts the asteroids Ishtar and Astarte, 0 degrees. You can't get tighter than that. This tells me he's got a really big temper. I mean, huge, because Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, magnifies whatever it touches. And we have Ishtar that has to do with war and blow-ups, and Astarte is the same energy, big arguments. And 0 degrees, huge, really tight. Now, Prince Charles Chiron conjuncts Harry's Hemingway, South Node, and Ishtar, 2 degrees. Chiron has to do with pain. There are so many astrologers that say that Chiron is the wounded healer. I've seen it rarely. It never fails to bring pain into the relationship when it's conjuncting really your luminaries or your angles or your north node. And when Chiron is conjuncting your north node from the other person, that I've seen that play out, and it's not pretty. It's just painful. So Dad's Chiron conjuncting Harry's Hemingway. Hemingway, like I said, has to do with book writing. So his father brought him pain over this, and there's huge arguments over it because it's also conjuncting Harry's Ishtar and his south node, 2 degrees. So there's pain over this whole publication and the book and everything. Also with the rest of the family, other issues as well. Now Harry's angers conjuncts his dad's sun, 3 degrees in the 4th house, and the 4th house rules the home and the family. The sun, like I said before, a very important luminary, and since Harry's angers is conjuncting dad's sun, there's anger here over the family issues. Definite anger. Dad's lacrimosa conjunct Harry's IC, 2 degrees. The IC, another really important angle in a compatibility chart. It opposes the midheaven. So whatever conjuncts your IC from the other person, those energies will present themselves to you behind the scenes, because the IC is on the cusp of the 4th house, which rules the home and the family. Lacrimosa has to do with crying and tears and sadness. So behind the scenes, his dad had grief and crying and sadness over the situation between him and Harry. Now his dad's Folsom conjuncts Harry's vertex, 2 degrees. The vertex, another really important point in a compatibility chart. It's like a second descendant. So the energies will come to you and you will feel them. Now dad's Folsom, that has to do with prison. So I think that in this relationship, Harry felt trapped, felt like he was imprisoned in a family that didn't take his feelings into consideration, or he felt like his needs weren't being met. His dad's Mercury conjuncts Harry's Clytia, 1 degree. Mercury, talking, communication planet, and it's conjuncting Harry's Clytia, 1 degree. Clytia has to do with not feeling appreciated in the family or in the relationship. So there was communication about this, and Harry expressed his feelings about this to his father. Now I'm going to get to the planetary aspects. His dad's moon opposes Harry's Pluto, 0 degrees. You can't get tighter than that. This opposition represents a seesaw effect, or a back and forth tension, or explosive emotional violence, because the Pluto person has emotional power over the moon person, and the moon person can feel manipulated or emotionally kidnapped by the dark intensity that Pluto represents. And it's at 0 degrees, so that's really the tightest orb. Now his dad's Pluto squares Harry's moon, 4 degrees. That's a wider orb, but this indicates power struggles, and the square is like a constant friction trying to resolve these power struggles between the two of them. Dad's Neptune squares Harry's ascendant, 2 degrees. His dad's Neptune is in the 4th house, which represents the home and the family. So Harry might consider that his dad is, which is the Neptune person, as being dishonest or evasive or unreachable or lost in his own private fantasy world, because Dad's Grimm conjuncts his sun natally, and Grimm has to do with fantasy world, and it's conjuncting his sun, very important luminary. So I hope you enjoyed this interpretation, and if you would like a synastry chart, my email is in the description box, and I will be back soon with more compatibility charts, so hit the subscribe button. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.